What's up, fight fans? This is JD of Bvtvnews with a quick news update. Y'all know I got to give y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. With that being said, man, let's speak a little bit about Mr. Teofimo Lopez and some of his, latest call-outs of the now number one pound-for-pound fighter in the game, and Mr. Terence Bud Crawford. Now, we've seen a few shots from Teofimo Lopez going at Bud Crawford. We've seen him on the Porterway podcast, salute the Sean Porter, and the great things they're doing over there. But we saw, Teofimo as a guest on that pod, mention that he loved the fight, Terence Crawford, because he wants to challenge himself to be great. And then on social media and different places, different interviews, we've heard, kind of a little bit of a back and forth between Bud and Teofimo Lopez. Even recently, we had, Bud go to social media and essentially claim that anytime that he's seen, Teofimo Lopez, T.O. has looked the other way or gone the other way, in so many words. Now, the question really becomes, would Terence Bud Crawford, at this particular point in his career, give a young bull like Teofimo Lopez an opportunity at a career high payday? Now, first off, let me say this. I absolutely do not knock Teofimo Lopez at all for calling out Terence Bud Crawford, right? Because there's all the upside in the world for you if you're Teofimo, if you did land a bout against Terence Bud Crawford. Number one, he's the number one pound for pound king in the game. Number two, you get in the ring and you look good against Bud. That ups your profile, and nobody in the world is going to knock you for losing to the number one pound for pound fighter, especially when you're coming up from 135 and 140, and he's fighting at 147 and potentially going to 154. So nobody would knock you if you ended up losing to Terence Bud Crawford. But if you look good and even have moments against Bud, then it ups your profile. Then if you actually win the bout, right, you actually then have a stake as a top 5 pound for pound fighter. So overall, I do not blame, a Teofimo Lopez for calling out a Terence Bud Crawford. We got T.O. who just recently threatened to quit boxing because Bob Arum and Top Rank were not paying him what he felt he deserved as a fighter. This should come as no surprise to people that, he would begin doing something like this as he's trying to look for the biggest, and best bouts out there to potentially make the most money. When you come off the heels of watching, Gervonta and Ryan last year break the bank against each other, and you're seeing so many, hot fights that are happening. You're seeing AJ go over to Saudi Arabia and make career high paydays. Deontay did the same thing. You name it. You're watching so many different fighters go make mega paydays. It doesn't shock me to see a fighter like T.O. try to call for the biggest fight. Now, the question really becomes, would Bud, before he really ends his career, probably in the next year or two, would he honestly give T.O. that career high payday in the ring against him? My prediction is probably that's a big old no. And the reason why I say that's probably a no is because there really is no upside in it for Terence Bud Crawford. You got Teofimo Lopez, who is still with Bud's ex-promoter, Mr. Bob Arum. You have Teofimo Lopez, who naturally still is a smaller guy. And he hasn't been in the ring with any of those like Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero. He hasn't been with any of the major names even around his weight yet. So I don't see Bud, giving that opportunity for him to go up in weight and cash in on the payday. I don't see them as being buddy in that regard for Bud to end up doing that favor for Timo on his way out of boxing probably in the next year or two. But nevertheless, man, I don't knock T.O. For doing what he's doing as far as trying to market himself. But let me know what you think in the comments about Teofimo Lopez calling out Terence Bud Crawford. Do you think Bud should give T.O. a chance to make a major bout? Or do you think Bud will brush him off and carry on out the last year or two of his career, kind of against Errol Spence in a rematch, and potentially some other fighters at 154. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, this is JD of BBTV News, and I'm out.